What's up, guys? Welcome to the Saturday show. Of course, on Saturdays, I like to look back at the week of Newswave, see what you guys had to say. It's a lot of fun just to see where you guys kind of fall on some of the topics and different things we talk about that take place in video games and the news and everything. First, though, I do want to start with some quick news of something that kind of popped up on my radar, and I saw it, and it at least answered at least some confirmation, I guess, a question that people have been asking, which comes down to Halo Infinite, something that we don't really know much about. We know it's using a new engine and everything, but based on the trailer they showed us, there really wasn't a lot of information there at all. But during a Mixer presentation, 343 Studios, specifically Jeff Easterling, kind of clarified it a bit, saying, "You should consider it Halo 6. Don't think of it as a weird prequel kind of thing. It's the next story, it's the next chapter, and what's going on." So we are getting Halo Infinite information like we're just getting drip fed right now. There's really not a lot of stuff out there, but at least we know it is technically Halo 6, as people have been theorizing, is this a prequel? Is this a reboot? I mean, it's Infinite. Maybe it's like the whole series all in one. What is this? Is this a live services thing that's not even going to have anything to do with the current story? No, it looks like it's at least considered Halo 6, so there will be, I guess, just a continuation of the story from Halo 5 where they left off, but we'll see more about this. I would like to see them really show Halo Infinite in full in an Inside Xbox, and I'll tell you why. I think Inside Xbox is still seen as a show you can skip, right? It's something you really don't have to pay attention to. Who cares? Never show anything big or interesting there. And having something like a Halo Infinite there, whether it's a gameplay debut where they show gameplay of the game, they show a new cutscene, they actually have people on and talk about it and give us new information, that would make it a little more interesting to say, okay, I can't miss Inside Xbox, whereas now people just, they don't really care that much. There are some people that do tune in, I like to watch them, but I can see where they need something big to really pull people in and say, okay, I gotta see, Inside Xbox this month just to see what surprises that might pop up with. I would surprise people with Halo Infinite, just gameplay or something, and they have a great shot at it with Gamescom coming up. Even if they have 343 developers on to talk more about it, anything, any information, we're talking about it being Halo 6 basically at this point. So yeah, more information, and we'll probably tune more into Inside Xbox, and they'll have more interest for their show. And with that out of the way, let's jump into Monday. We talked about a weird situation where Bethesda decided to block a sealed game from being sold on Amazon. Pete Hines even spoke up on the matter, claiming the game cannot be advertised as new since it does not come with the warranty a store would normally offer. Despite this one instance of legal action being threatened, several other listings still exist for The Evil Within 2 advertised as new. Gizensha Fox says, "What's more interesting and worrying about the Bethesda used game sales situation is that according to Jim Sterling's video on the topic, they're using a lawyer firm that apparently specializes in loopholes to get around first sale doctrine for this." So yeah, if you're trying to figure this stuff out, I guess you hire a lawyer to find loopholes so you can do this. I think the most worrying here is that Bethesda is spending time doing this. Like, what are they doing? Why are you? That's the thing I don't get. Why are they wasting their time on Amazon with someone who's just selling a game for like $30 with a new listing next to it? It's not like they're stomping it out. People are still selling new games on Amazon, Bethesda new games. There's still Evil Within 2 games on there that are brand new from people who are not GameStop, Best Buy, Walmart, any of these retailers. So why? Like, I don't really understand. Even on like eBay, they have new ones, I believe, and it's weird. The other thing is, I saw some people saying they would only buy like sealed games from people. I would actually not do that. It sounds weird, but I would actually buy open ones because I'd want pictures of the disc and everything. Because I've had instances where a long time ago, working at different stores, when they would take trade-ins on sealed games, sometimes the game wouldn't even be in there. Like, they would reseal it. And I learned quickly why places like GameStop don't take trade-ins on sealed stuff, because you have to be able to examine the merchandise. And I already get a little concerned here and there about ordering games or anything I can't examine, right? Because you order online, you're kind of going by what they show you in pictures, not necessarily what the thing actually looks like. So you get kind of concerned. I would much rather the thing be open so they can pop it open, show the bottom of the disc, show that the disc is actually in there. And I'm not really into buying the sealed stuff, but it's weird. That's the thing that I take away from this. Not necessarily they're trying to do loopholes to get around first sale doctrine. It's that they're they're doing it in the first place. Tuesday, we took a look at a bunch of interesting placeholder listings that appeared on Amazon for the Nintendo Switch. These listings have appeared before ahead of a Nintendo Direct to get ready for new game announcements. Some of these appear to be older and possibly recycled, since one in particular has reviews from months ago. Gaming Oasis says, all I want out of those placeholders is just confirmation that Animal Crossing Switch is in development. It probably is, but I want it officially. Do it how Metroid Prime 4 was revealed. I would freak out more than K. Rool for Smash, just not Amiibo Festival 2. So Animal Crossing is, I have to imagine it's being worked on. You can't ignore the sales numbers of Animal Crossing on the 3DS New Leaf, which was north of 10 million units. I think they're at like 11 million units on it now, last time they reported it. That's a lot of units to sell. I mean, we're talking like, that's like where Mario Odyssey is right now. Think about that, right? Mario Odyssey and then Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is bigger than people realize, mostly because while it's not all casual people that play it, it's definitely not people who are excited for, it's not the majority of people who are excited for things like a Dark Souls or a Metroid Prime 4. It's definitely more for the casual audience with some mix and some crossover of hardcore fans, but the point of Animal Crossing is it has a wide audience. It pulls in a lot of people with its mechanics and direction for the game. So if they do bring it over, which this would probably be a good, I've talked about this before, I think this would be a good summer 2019 release. I think Animal Crossing worked well in the position in 2019 where kind of Mario Tennis fell in 2018, like that June release. I think they could have a fun time with promoting it as their big summer release, the summer of Animal Crossing and everything, and people would buy it. That's a game that would sell all the way through summer, all the way into the holidays with no trouble. And it would sell Switches. It really would. So that's where I'm kind of placing Animal Crossing. I think we would see it in the Direct that would then show off 2019 games, whether it's, I guess, an early 2019 Direct, and then Animal Crossing would be there. They'd talk about it. It would show up at E3, but not a ton because it's then out like a week later. Paul D. Cook says, hi John, as long as Nintendo gets rid of the ridiculous phone app and brings just regular online chat capabilities, they can do what they want and when they want to do it. The phone app. That's probably going to disappoint you considering they still reference it on their website despite still not using it, which is weird. Splatoon 2, as far as I can tell, is the only thing that uses it at all and has ever used it. So I feel like they can kind of slip it under the rug and turn it into a Splatoon 2 app, just like a companion app. Not necessarily, I would rather see voice chat natively. I'm thinking more along the lines of tracking your stats and stuff like that in pretty cool ways and everything. They can release little Easter eggs and stuff through it as well, whether it's background art for your phones. They can have fun with it for a companion app for Splatoon 2. I think most of us are over the app. I don't think any of us really want to have our phone out and our system out at the same time. And I think the lack of accessories recently for it and the lack of just acknowledgement from Nintendo tells me that they are kind of moving on from that app, although they did technically acknowledge it on their website with their whole online service, but it's been there for a little while now. I want to see them just quietly erase it, right, with no one looking, and then oh look, voice chat is native to the system. We know it can do it. Fortnite can do it. It works well. So yeah, why not just make it native and kind of move on from there? Who knows? Maybe they really do want to push that chat app and the whole thing. I hope not. I hope that's not the case. I hope we just get to the online service in a month or so, and you can just plug your headphone in and to the system, and that's it. Wednesday, we looked at Dark Souls on the Switch, as it now has a release date, placing it in the center of some big releases on October 19th. NVIDIA also looks set to announce a new gaming video card next week, with their workstation cards now out of the way. Guy Hurst says, I'm still hyped for Dark Souls. Never played it. I only have a Switch. Let's do this. See, you are their target audience then for that. And the delay is a shame, right? I mean, everyone wanted it to come out day and date with the other ones because then they don't have to wait longer. But yeah, if you just have a Switch, and I know there are quite a few people actually that just have a Switch, although I do think a PS4 or a PC is probably a good companion for it. The Xbox has some games third-party wise, but the PS4 is getting a lot of those Japanese games as well, like Dragon Quest XI. And of course, the PC has a massive amount of stuff if you're willing to wade through a bunch of junk on Steam. But I do know there are people who only have a Switch, and if that's the case, then yeah, you're set up and you're still going to buy it. I don't know if people who just have a Switch would be enough to make Dark Souls on the Switch a success. I think they'd have to pull people from other systems as well. And that's actually going to lead into our next response. Darius Truxton says, too little, too late for Dark Souls. I think they delayed this game on purpose so people will double dip. With a game this popular, they're confident people will buy it twice. Now, this has been a theory for a while now since it was delayed. I don't think this is the case, mostly because they would then have to continue spending marketing dollars to market it, and at that point you're kind of risking that you will be able to get people to double dip. I don't necessarily think that that's what they wanted to do. I think they wanted to release everything at once, one big marketing push. It's everywhere. Here's also the amiibo. And that's when they had everyone really excited for the game, whereas if you go online, no one's really talking that much about Dark Souls Remastered anymore. And I don't know if Dark Souls Remastered is popular enough to have people say, well, I already bought it on the PS4 and I beat it in 60 frames per second and, high resolution, but I also want to play it with me when I'm on the go. I feel like because in October specifically, there's a lot of stuff out there that people on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC will probably be playing. Red Dead is out the next week or something. It's so close to Red Dead. It's right with Battlefield 5 and Call of Duty, and then the whole slew of games that just came out in September. I think Dark Souls on the Switch is going to get lost to anyone who isn't Switch only at this point. Although that amiibo will probably sell. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they stocked enough of them if it could match the game in sales just from amiibos, because people might just want it for their shelf or their collection if they're big Dark Souls fans. Thursday, TimeSplitters made an appearance in the news after THQ Nordic had acquired the rights to the game as well as rights to Second Sight. With THQ Nordic currently working to bolster their library of IPs and build up releases, it seems inevitable at this point that a new TimeSplitters game is inbound. Dragon says, THQ owns TimeSplitters now. Great, now EA won't have to touch the series again. Admittedly, TimeSplitters Future Perfect turned out pretty good, but that was EA 2005, not EA 2018. So the thing about EA, it's really a massive shift, isn't it? If you went back to the early 2000s, right in there during the PS2, the GameCube, and the Xbox, EA was way different. THQ was way different too, by the way, because now Nordic Games bought THQ, changed THQ Nordic. Much different now. But when EA was publishing something like TimeSplitters Future Perfect, they weren't necessarily developing it, and they let them do their thing because they weren't focused on live services. Back then, we would always get that, that EA Games challenge everything, the thing that would pop up.
EA Games challenge everything.
And we'd be like, oh, this is going to be a good game because EA is putting money into it and we don't have to worry about live services, microtransactions, the whole thing. It was just a straight up game. In fact, I actually kind of miss those times because that's when EA was actually putting out some pretty good stuff. Whereas now it's a lot of live services, as we see. But back then, when they published something like Future Perfect, they weren't necessarily doing the development. Free Radical was doing the development. And now they are with THQ Nordic now. I don't know how many of the old guard or the people who were developing back then are still with them, but I feel like some are still around. And of course, they are the ones that were pushing TimeSplitters around, the games you guys liked if you're a big TimeSplitters fan. So I would be excited. THQ Nordic has shown that they are willing to go back, get some games, remaster them, bring them up, or maybe TimeSplitters is what they're looking at to really, just take and plant their flag and say TimeSplitters is back. Here's a new TimeSplitters game. I'm all over it. I hope that's the case, and I hope they take Second Sight and do their remastering on that one, because that was actually a pretty cool game at the time, and I'd like to see what they can do with it in 2018, remastered and everything. Finally, on Friday, we went over the details for Diablo 3 on the Switch. Tons of information was released following the expected announcement that Diablo will be making its way to the Switch, including resolution, frame rate, and even that Iron Galaxy was helping to port the game. During the media interviews, Blizzard also mentioned to GameSpot that Overwatch was feasible for the Nintendo Switch. Simp says, I would cry if they released Overwatch for Switch. Now, that sounds like a reasonable comment, but it was really, I think the response was probably one of the best things. Charlie Brown saying, oh, the game's not that bad. That's a good response. I like that. Ashley Collins says, wouldn't mind Overwatch on Switch. Wonder if they could ever put something like WoW on console ever. Its graphics aren't all that demanding. I would love to play WoW on something other than PC. That'd be insane. But for the time being, I will definitely buy Diablo 3 again for Switch and enjoy it once it's released. So the thing about World of Warcraft, this has been something that's been asked about actually for quite a while, by the way, is why is that never going to PC or left PC and going to console? They've never really been able to explain it. I have a feeling it had a lot to do with their Blizzard launcher at the time, and it probably had a lot to do with the obvious need of keyboard and mouse, although Final Fantasy XI did go to things like the PS2 and the 360, and of course Final Fantasy XIV is on like the PS4 and everything, but I have a feeling those just adapt better to controllers. I don't know. I've never really thought of World of Warcraft even in the same light as like a console experience. It's just, I don't think they'd be able to map it to a controller easily, and you would need to have a requirement of keyboard and mouse, and at that point, just play it on your PC, I guess. You're right, though. They're not that demanding, and I'm sure they could do it if they really wanted to. And I know Razer is working with Xbox and Microsoft to bring out like a keyboard and a mouse support and everything, but it's I just don't think of World of Warcraft as that. I think of World of Warcraft, I think of people just playing it on their monitors, on their PCs, and that also might be because it's been around for so long as a PC game. It would just be almost unnecessary, I guess, to go to a console, but that's just my thoughts. Maybe some of you guys want World of Warcraft on your PS4 or your Xbox One, or maybe you want it even on your Switch. Let me know. Then, guys, that is it for our Saturday show today. Thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure you guys like the video if you liked it, dislike it if not. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today. Make sure you guys come back later on tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be doing the Spawncast, having a lot of fun there, talking about the past week in video games, because there is a lot of stuff to go over, and it should be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you later on tonight.